just an example of a couple. This is not, this is not an exhaustive list. A couple of entities in the Netherlands. You have the VOF, the Vennootschap onder firma, and the Maatschap, and that basically is a partnership for, if you translate it in English. And it's really easy to establish. You just go to the trade register and you open up the VOF. The VOF is a partnership, so you need 2 persons at least. It's not suitable for 1 person. That is the eenmanszaak. But I put it up here because I think you should start doing business with a partner. It's so much fun to be in a partnership. I've been working alone for quite some time as an eenmanszaak, sole proprietorship, and it's just not, it's just less fun. So let's assume you enter into a partnership, you want to open up a business with a couple of people. Then the VOF Maatschap in the Netherlands is a really solid, good entity, very low administrative costs. You don't need to go to a lawyer basically, or a notary, or whatever. Yeah, it's good, but there is no limitation of liability. You do business in private. Your commercial business, your entrepreneurship is just totally mingled with your private life, which is a problem. The BV is the solution because it has limited liability. The besloten vennootschap is the Dutch word, which is, especially today, because they sort of changed the law on opening up BVs. It's now called a flex BV. It's more flexible, and it's cheaper. It's more flexible. So it's a really good way to start your company. And the main advantage is it has limited liability. From a tax point of view, it's not a wise choice because it's really expensive to have a BV if you're a startup. There are not many tax deductions, and you have to pay yourself quite a high salary in the first year. It's called the DGA salaris, so as the CEO salary basically.
Nice. Thank you. What does DGA stand for?
Directeur groot aandeelhouder, so director main shareholder, and in the Netherlands it's then mandatory to give yourself 44,000 euros a year as a salary, which is a lot of money for a startup, and then you can get out of that restriction, but then you have to start in expensive and really difficult discussions with the tax authorities. You need to get a tax lawyer, etc., etc. So yes, great for limited liability. However, if you really mess up things in a limited liability situation, and you go bankrupt, for instance, and you made a mess of your accounts, of your books, you didn't file the annual accounts, you stole basically from your own company, which happens all the time. So the company goes bankrupt, and you are driving a really expensive car. Then you have a problem in the Netherlands, because then they can sort of squeeze through the limited liability of the BV, and they can go after you in person and basically sell your house, properties, go after your parents, whatever. So take note that this is not an indefinite limitation of liability. There are situations that they can just pierce through the veil, as they call it in the Netherlands, and go for you your personal life. The eenmanszaak, really easy, low threshold, because you just go to the trade register and you are an eenmanszaak. I think most of you who started doing business by themselves registered at the trade register as an eenmanszaak, which is good, but it has totally no limited liability. The LLP, which is nice, we imported it from the UK. It's called a limited liability partnership. It's totally accepted in the Netherlands with banks, with the tax authorities, with the trade register. I'm advising a lot to take the LLP because it has all the flexibility and the tax advantages of the VOF Maatschap and the eenmanszaak, but it has limited liability. And in the UK and the US, they created this vehicle like, I think, 10, 15 years ago. Maybe I think you're American, maybe it's even longer in the United States.
I've been away a long time.
Okay. I think it's been around in the UK for, as of '92, it's a new law. And it's been created for lawyers, doctors, that kind of professions who really needed some more protection than you can get from a normal partnership, because if you're a lawyer, then you're in a high-risk business, because if you mess up for your client, then they can sue you, and you can be confronted with all the costs involved in messing up their lawsuit or their contract, etc. So this is a great way to have the best of both worlds. So I advise a lot of companies, a lot of startups to look into the possibilities of entering into an LLP, because it has the tax advantages and it has the limited liability.